Hello gamers and welcome to another video. My name is Ryan, aka Vidja Gamer here on YouTube, and today we're going to talk about a piece of my collection that doesn't come up in many of my videos, but it's one that I really am excited to have as a collector, and that of course is the Atari Jaguar. Now to set the record a little bit, now keep in mind, before Nintendo started dominating the market in the 80s and 90s, the Atari 2600 was everywhere. Atari, that name was associated with video games across North America and to a large extent the world, I'd imagine. And when they kind of fell out of the limelight, Nintendo came in, the NES took over, the Super Nintendo rolled out, the Sega Genesis was there. So in the midst of all of that, all these years later, we found out that there was going to be a new Atari home console. And I really thought as a kid that this was going to be amazing. Atari was back. I was going to get sequels to all these games that I knew and loved. And I was really excited, and then before you know it, they were gone. There was a marketing campaign, they appeared on some store shelves, and then a year later, you couldn't find this thing. So I never got the chance to play it as a kid. As a collector, having the chance to own one and a few of these games and experience them has been great. And today, let's just go through my Atari Jaguar collection. Okay, so to kick things off, here is my boxed Atari Jaguar console. I actually found this at a garage sale. It was an amazing find, and it's what started my collection for the system. It came with the system, the game, Cybermore, and then they actually had AV cables in there, which is an upgrade to the standard RF. Gives you much better video quality. If you can spring for that as a Jaguar collector, do it. It's a great extra cord to have, not too expensive. So as you can see, the box is a little beat up, but the artwork is still nice, and it's one of the prized pieces in my collection. And then at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, I did pick up a second boxed controller. I did have two at one point, and I gave one away in a trade, so to get a boxed one like this is great. It's also got the KB Toy sticker for $12.99 on there. And then getting into games, I do have a few boxed games, so let's start with those. I picked up Bubsy in Fractured Furry Tales. Now, I'm one of those people that actually enjoys the original Bubsy game, but this game is just awful and so unplayable. Next up, Ruiner Pinball. Decent pinball game. It's got like these really large tables on it for you to explore, which is kind of cool. I think it comes with 3 tables in total. And yeah, not a bad game. Now this is not exactly complete. It's in a rental case. You can see they cut up the original box. This is Tempest 2000. It does have the instruction manual, but they just kind of cannibalized the box, as you can see, to fit it into this protective case, which I guess is okay. I ordered it blindly through an online store. It didn't even mention that it had the boxer manual, so it turned out to be kind of a bonus, actually. Here's an interesting one. Evolution Dino Dudes. I've got this one complete as well. Think more of like a puzzle game than like a platformer. It's kind of like, I don't know what I'd describe it as, Lemmings-ish. There's a lot of puzzle solving that goes on. It's not a bad game, to be quite honest. And then kind of a boring one, but it plays well in the Jaguar actually, is Theme Park. So with these games, of course, it's just a simulator or simulation type game. You're setting up a theme park, you're setting food prices, setting up rides, tickets, all that good stuff. Amazing game here. Raiden. This is a pretty solid version of it. It's not a game that really shows off the capabilities of the Jaguar at all, but it is a really great arcade shooter. You can play 2-player. You can't really go wrong with this game. Another great game, Doom, and the Doom port is excellent to the Jaguar. So if you've got a Jaguar, highly recommend picking this one up. No reason not to own that one. And then we've got the one that everyone seems to talk about, Alien vs. Predator. This is supposed to be sort of the flagship game for the Jaguar, and I gotta admit, it doesn't really blow me away. Had I played it back then, I guess I could see in that perspective how it would have seemed so amazing, and it does things that push the Jaguar more than most games, but it isn't particularly, in my opinion, a great game. Is it solid and playable? Yes. Great? I don't know. Valvasir, skiing and snowboarding. This is a racing game, as you can imagine, on skis or snowboard. It's got a lot of scrolling effect that looks sort of janky. It's all around just completely forgettable. And we've got Hover Strike. This is sort of a tank, futuristic tank game where you're placed in 3D environments and you're taking on opponents. Visually, it does a lot to show off the Jaguar's capabilities, but the fact that there's only a D-pad in the Jaguar controller really limits the control and limits the fun in this game. And I got Checkered Flag. Again, I got this one through the mail with my Tempest 2000. Unfortunately, this one didn't come with manual or anything. It just came with half the label ripped off. So, score. Cannon Fodder. This game was released on a variety of platforms. Basically, you're controlling, it's like a point-and-click adventure where you're controlling a platoon, a little army dudes, and taking on tactical levels. Really fun game, challenging though. I'm not particularly great at it. And then the pack-in game, of course, Cybermorph. Kind of Atari's answer to Star Fox, I guess, is the best way to describe it. It's a capable enough game. It has some problems. Ultra Vortex. This is a fighting game, kind of in the vein of Mortal Kombat. It's got, you know, the motion capture, CG characters. It's forgettable. Flip Out. This is an interesting one. It's a puzzle game where you essentially have to juggle pieces while they're flipping on a board, and then match them and line them up to clear the stage and move on to the next. Again, like a lot of the stuff in the Jaguar collection, it's forgettable. Now this one, Iron Soldier. This game actually really impressed me, more so than Alien vs. Predators does. Alien vs. Predator. Basically, this is a mech game. You're in a giant robot, you're going through the city, everything is 3D. You've got helicopters, you've got tanks on the ground, and you just run around this open, you know, mini environment. It's not a huge world, granted, but each stage is this big 3D space to explore. I really like this game. To me, this is the one that should be the flagship game when people talk about the Atari Jaguar. This one totally stands out. It did have a sequel that never got released. I think the homebrew community, though, did find a ROM and released it in a physical form recently. Club Drive. Oh, this game, I don't even know what to say about it. It is just putrid audio visual nightmare. It is, the sound effects alone are horrendous. They have you driving around these 3D environments like a bedroom or a desert, collecting little fuzzballs. It makes no sense. It looks like crap. It plays like crap. This shouldn't have even been released. iWar. So here we go again. This is another 3D environment game where you're a tank, and there's a little bit of platforming in it, actually. This game is pretty capable. I mean, there's the start to something really interesting with iWar. Is it my favorite game on the system? No, but I had a good time with it. Platformer here. This is a 2D platformer, Zool 2. Zool 2 is a capable enough platformer. Is it amazing? Absolutely not. But on the Jaguar, this is actually a really good game. Jaguar, the library, isn't known for amazing titles, and this one is playable, it's fun, and it's colorful, so it's hard to knock it. Another fighting game here, Tsume Ninja. This is another, I guess, Mortal Kombat clone type game. Not real great, not real notable. It just is what it is. Now Syndicate. Syndicate was released on multiple platforms as well, like PC. Basically, it's another tactical game where you're going in, you're completing missions, and trying to traverse the stage and plan out, you know, the mission, whether you're going to capture somebody or whatever. It's a game that I haven't gotten very far in, but the port to the Jaguar seems solid enough. Would it be better to play with mouse and keyboard? Sure, yeah, I'll admit that, but it's a fun distraction on the Jaguar. This one's actually kind of cool. Brutal Sports Football. It's sort of like, I guess, a take on Blitz, or maybe Mutant League Hockey and Mutant League Football. It's sort of in that vein. It's not a bad game. I'd recommend playing it with 2 players versus against the computer. You're only going to have so much fun that way. And then we've got White Man Can't Jump. I assume this must have been tied into the movie. It's street basketball, and it has this really weird scaling in and out effect on the players depending on what's happening on the court. The kind of is almost nauseating. I guess it technically does some interesting things with the system, but it's tough to play. And then just a boring one here at the end, Troy Aikman Football. Not really much to say about that. You can kind of figure it out for yourself. Alright, so there you have it. There is my Atari Jaguar collection. Maybe not the greatest console out there with the best library of games, but it certainly is nostalgic for me in the fact that I only ever got to see these games in magazines in my youth, so getting to play them now as a collector is great. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.